then you'll recognize that they're going after your very nature.
Yes.
They're going after your nature because he is bone of our bone, flesh of our flesh. And they know that the great people identify with good leadership. He is bone of our bone, flesh of our flesh, and our body don't disagree with its members. So why should we disagree with our great leadership? So you can stand, and when they say what they say, no, it doesn't impact you because you have digested what we got, and we're part, and they're going after our nature, and they can't do nothing with our nature.
And
they
we all
want
be loud. We all be loud.
Right.
That's right.
So that's all I
And
want to
Imam Muhammad had a gift. Imam Muhammad had a good discussion. A spiritual gift that the whole world, even non-Muslims, recognize about him. And I forget what the relation is because it's slipping my mind. That he had the power of spirit. He could touch your soul. A lot of people in this room will agree with me. Imam Muhammad had a power. That's right. He could touch your soul if he wanted to. So this learn a lot and learn that he's just an example of what Allah could bless us with. That the next time someone does something to hurt you, Allah doesn't want you to feel that pain. So that he will bless you one day to when they hit you, you can hit them deeper than any flesh wound could ever cut, and you could touch their soul like Prophet Muhammad did. That's what the Prophet had, that ability.
Okay, I'm sorry, we have one sister, Dr. Lynn.
I agree 100% with everything that everybody has said. I have no problems with anything that people have said, but I personally feel we're missing the point. This room, we know. We know. We've been educated. We are part of a community, global community, and we know. What Jamila is saying is that our children don't know. It's our story. We can sit here and we can go on for hours and hours and hours. But the truth be told, that it's our story. And right now, my story is a mystery to so many of our youth. Because they're being told his story. I want you all to listen to this language. It's a mystery to my grandchildren. My children know, but my grandchildren don't. And how many of our grandchildren don't? We can sit here forever and talk about this. That's not Jamila's point. Our children don't know this. And until we make sure they're educated, not somebody else educating them, and we can have debate after debate after debate of all the facts, but they don't know these facts.
That's why we need schools.
Bring them to Juma.
It's not enough.
I admit it's kind of scary.
If we
It's
only
kinda
bring the
scary,
schools, it's scary.
I can't just take my kids out of school. My kids get straight A's
If we
and bring them somewhere and it might fail.
If we don't make this part of their life, because that's what Islam is. It's not a Sunday, it's not a Friday act. It's a way of life. And if we don't make this part of their everyday life, giving them a way to apply it, not just to sit and hear it,
That's right.
over a lecture. We had jobs that we could look forward to seeing. We had a place where we can go and shop. The jobs, the stores, the clothing that we wore was all done on the structure of the same thing we were learning in our classrooms. So this wasn't a Friday event. It wasn't a Sunday event. This was a way of life for us every single day. And right now, Jamila has made it very clear, 10 hours of their life and more is being spent on somebody else's culture.
Yes.
And the saddest part about this is we know better. Because as we're sitting in this room, we're talking about what we know, but we're not doing it.
Because we won't work.
And we have another generation that we are about to lose.
Yeah, we won't work in our places. We have education.
Our school closed in 1988 in Chicago. I remember that day. Because I felt Sister Clara. I felt Sister Jacqueline. I felt my parents and all the other pioneers here and what they tried to do.
But to your credit, you opened the school.
I'm doing my part.
I mean,
But the
when school
community is
closed,
not doing its part.
She opened the school.
The community is not doing its part. It took more than Sister Jacqueline and Brother John and all these other great leaders that were there. It took more than them. It took the community. So while we sitting here talking, let's listen to what Jamila is trying to tell us. Jamila has a platform that can help us turn this around. I talked to my 25-year-old child who's never been in a Muslim school for 25 years. For 25 years. This is not something to take lightly. I'm sorry, Jamila.
Thank you. Takbir. So we think about education, we have to think about what are our goals. So the number one resistance that I hear, that, and you said it right away, I can't take my kids out of school. They're doing well in school. They're getting straight A's. But you have to think, what is the purpose of their education? What are you educating your child for?
So they can help me in the future.
How?
How?
Yes, how? With a good job?
I don't know. I think I'm going to have to buy a gun or something.
But most parents feel, I want my child to get a good education so that they can get a good job, so that they can be financially independent, they can be secure. That's, to be real, that's why we argue in our sending our kids to good schools, right?
That's correct.
But you have to understand that the education system we have today has already failed. What good does it do your child to get straight A's at a school that is useless, at a school that is either useless or outdated? It doesn't make any sense. Every single person in here has a phone. Every single phone has an app. There are 11-year-olds creating apps, but not our children, because nobody's teaching our kids how to do that. They're teaching them the same things the same way that they have for the last 50 years, and that's not going to cut it anymore. They're children who have started their own business, created, innovators, inventors, but not our children. Because they're told, sit down, open that book, read this page, and answer the question.
That's right.
Who is teaching our kids to be artists? Nobody, because they've taken it out of the schools. Where is our next generation of who are going to reinvent music like jazz musicians did? Because music is gone. So what are they educating your children to do? When they already know that most college educated people cannot find a job.
Slavery.
Cannot find a job, and they already know that the economy is going down. So what are they educating your children to do? Yeah, he got a straight A. Yes, he's going to go to college. Yeah, they go to college and he might get all straight A's there too. The fields that we used to have, our kids, the fields that will probably still continue to earn them money, they're not sending our kids into those fields. They're not teaching them how to compete in a school that's really going to teach them. And if we don't realize that we have to change our mind, it's just like your parents used to say, whenever you get paid, put a little money to the side, save it. Now we know better. That's not going to really take you that far. You know, all your money stuffed in the mattress. So, I mean, I'm sure you can tell that's not the way to get financial independence. Putting your money in the bank at 1% interest, which we ain't trying to gain the interest
That's
anyway.
right.
But that's when you know better, you do better.
That's right.
And they're teaching your children these outdated ways with these outdated methods. That's not going to take them far. I promise you. It's not. When I educate my child, I have the opportunity to see my child, see what does my child, what's important, what can my child be, what can my child do. So now I have my 11-year-old. He's already had started his business. Now it's out of business. I put him out, yes. I closed his business down. But before when he was 10, he had started a baking business and was selling his baked products at the local barbershop. I have my daughter. She's 12. She's a writer. She's working on her novel. because that's what interests her. That's where her talent is. My little one, oh Lord. she's a natural performer, so I got to put her on stage somewhere. I'm not ready, but that's where that I can see it. I could bring it out of her. I can help her develop it, and that nurturing her passion, teaching her how to tap into how to get information she needs, how to turn on that computer, find the information you need, because everything you need is going to be there.
That's right.
So when I go to college for 4 years, when I first started, somebody was saying, aren't you concerned with how their SATs will be? I was like, I'm really not. Well, they need a good score and a good transcript to get into a good college. I said, that's not my concern. That's not my goal. And that's what we've been taught. Just like it's the whole put your money in the mattress. That's what we've been taught. Your child needs a good SAT and a good transcript so they can get into a good school. That's what they need. But why? Why? If my child, the most beneficial thing your child can do right now is probably go to a good trade school and a profession that he enjoys. There was an article in the news that said, in Detroit, they don't have enough aviation mechanics. Nobody is going into this field. You starting at $100,000. That's more than doctors start. Yeah. The program is 2 years. It was such a shortage that on the news, Delta Airlines is starting a special program in Detroit where if you go to school, they will let you practice on their planes, repairing the planes, so that you can get that degree in aviation mechanics, and they will hire you immediately. You could take that anywhere. It only took you 2 years and didn't cost you hardly nothing. You don't need no SAT for that. There are other things they are telling us, because they've been telling us for 50, go to school, get a degree, and get your good job, your good government job. And those jobs are going too. So, and they have made the cost of education so expensive. Right. Secondary education, it costs more than a house. Right. $100,000 easy. And at the same time they selling you this education for $100,000, you will take out your whole 401k. You will take out your pension, you will mortgage your house. And at the same time, if you go online, you could go to opencourse.com. And the same program most of these colleges offer for free. There's a lot of these classes to teach you. Well, teach it to you for free. And it didn't cost you hardly nothing.
And you can take a test and actually get the certificate with the knowledge that you gain from these online classes. You can take a test and still get similar jobs the same way that you can get if you walked in with a college degree. I'm not knocking colleges at all, but it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. So I'm not knocking colleges either. There are certain things that you have to go to college to get that degree. There are certain fields that nobody's going to let you be a doctor and you tell them, well, I was reading all these books online. There are certain things that you have to. But the college system that we currently have is overwhelmed. It's too many kids. It costs too much money. And most children go a couple of years, either flunk out or leave because of financial problems. And so then they've just 2 years where they did, and most children don't know when they go to college at 19 what they want to do. No. Their children take a gap year because their parents are like, well, I'm not wasting my money. You make up your mind. You work a little while, you travel a little while, and then you come back and tell me what you want to do before I invest $100,000 in this school.
That's right. That's right.
But we are taught, he just graduated, he should start school, he graduated in June, he should start in July. And you ask the child, where are you going to school for? I'm not really sure. I don't really have an idea. So I'm not knocking college. It is a means to an end. But it's not the only means. And that's what we've been sold. And so you have to get clear in your mind as a parent. What is my goal? Now for me, my goal is to raise a well-rounded child who has values and character. Who on the day of judgment can stand before Allah. I tell my kids all the time, you got to get, I'm doing everything I can to put you on this right path now. Because on the day of judgment, you ain't going to ask me, and I'm not going to ask you. It's going to be every man for himself. Allah has already predicted that. And you cannot come to me and say, Mama, can you help me now? I'm going to be like, I helped you as much as I could before we got here. Now I'm on my own.
We have a balanced life. We have the spiritual and the material.
Yes, of course.
So we know the economic waters are drying up, right?
Yes.
So when they get this education, how we
Give me that.
telling them to invest that education, what to do with that education. Give it back to the storehouse of the dying world, or give it to the storehouse to invest in yourself. No, I was asking her a question. Or give it to
They wanted to hear your question. Yeah, we want to hear the question.
So we have to watch you. Let us hear.
It's not a private conversation.
But were you asking me, so
how would you tell you educate your children what to do with their education? Give it back to the dying world?
I'm trying to educate.
Give it to self. Right.
Exactly. That's what. That is my hope for my children, is that they will be able to do for self. That they will be able to sustain themselves and their families without going on to this modern day plantation system that we have. Yes, Sister Lynn, Dr. Lynn.
One of the key things that Jamila said is that she knows each of her three. She has taken the time to work with them, so she knows Ali's strength and she knows each of her daughter's strengths. And she's doing all she can to give them a sense of self based on those strengths. She's working with their weaknesses too. She recognizes this one needs more math, this one is a visual learner, this one is this one's that. So she's working with them in that respect. So by knowing her children, she can help guide them. She can ask them key questions. She can actually, guide them through that method to make the best choices. And maybe it is college. Maybe that is the route for them.
And you have a background in teaching, education?
And so she has knowledge of them so she can guide them, but to give the blanket, the world says that the only way or the best way to achieve is to do A, B, C, D, and E. Suppose your child is not that person. And that's what we're doing. We're relying too much on someone else to call these shots for us.
Right.
We don't allow them to tell us how to live our Deen. So why are we letting them tell us how to raise our children?
Right.
So, and what's funny is for all my talk about college is not that important, it's not the only way, I've been drilling it, what else do you want to do? You need to find your passion. Then my son comes to me over the summer and says, I decided I want to go to MIT. Now we got to be on the college track. So, but if that's what he wants to do.
But he wants to do computers.
He wants to do computer, but he's 11, but he's done his own research. What's the best schools to go to? What's the way to go? What do I need to do to go where I want to go with computers? So he came up with MIT on his own, and I was just blown. I was like, okay, if that's what you want to do, if that's where you want to go, that's your goal, let's get you there. But your children aren't being encouraged to think for themselves, to come to. Your children aren't being told, you need to now, at 10, you need to start looking at what is your future? What do you want to do? They're telling you, you don't have to worry about that till you're 18.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
What if you're not a teacher? Because I've observed that people that have teachers in their blood, like you said, like their mother or their father, auntie, or a close person, they make natural good teachers, and they have the confidence, and they actually have they make really good teachers. Me and my wife been going back and forth forever because I know she'd make a way better teacher than the schools that my children have gone to, but she don't have the time and the energy, and I just wouldn't want to take her and that far. So what do we do? And are you a good business person? This is a two-part question. So what do we do if we're not great teachers? And have you put together a budget yet? Because I'm a businessman and I want to make this happen.
So let me tell you.
A budget for your school.
That's why you have. That's why
you
you have schools, because it takes a community. It takes a village. Everybody's not a teacher. If you go back to the old Clara Mohammed school model, everybody didn't teach. We needed some people to run the business off first. We needed some people to drive the bus. It's a community effort. Everybody, and most of the kids there, their parents weren't teachers there. It's got to be a community effort. So I don't want to put the problem out there without saying, what can we do? What's our solutions? So there are two tracks that most people are looking at right now. The Sister Clara Mohammed School track, where we start a school, and then a homeschool where your home is your school. So right now, we have Sister Clara Mohammed schools, and that's, again, I'm gonna hold this up. This is a great resource. This particular issue, many articles on Sister Clara Mohammed schools. This is the one with Sister Clara Muhammad on the front, November 3rd. So it's a great resource, and it actually lists the Clara Muhammad schools that still are in existence. It has a listing of them and organizations that are working on this. So this was a great resource. So what I personally think is the best option for us as a community is to move away from the brick and mortar schools. We don't have the infrastructure or the money in a lot of situations to actually put a school in place. Now, you can do a small school in a building this size. You can. You can organize it, can be done. But right now, we have the technology and the means to create a fabulous online school that children can benefit from all over the country. If you think about, how many of you have heard of, I think it's called Phoenix University?
Yeah.
Phoenix University. Many people have matriculated through that school. And then originally, they didn't even have any campuses. Everything was online. I think they had one little campus at Phoenix. Now that they've built up years, you could go there for 4 years, you can get a degree in almost anything. It's accepted all over the country. They have great teachers, great programs, the whole program you take online. And when you finish, you get your degree. And now that they've done it for so many years, now you'll drive around, you'll see a little Phoenix University campus that they're starting to put actual campuses that you could walk in on. But they didn't start that way. And I think that a model like that could work for Sister Clara Muhammad schools. There are two
Is
schools.
that a grammar school, Phoenix? I don't know.
It's a college.
It's a college. But are there any models for? Because we talking about children. We don't want to lose our babies.
Yes.
So is there a model for
Yes.
elementary?
Now I'm gonna plug my book and say, you need to get 7 steps to start your Muslim homeschool. And in the resource section, I list Muslim schools that are currently online that you can do the whole thing that's online. And we have 2 that's in our community.
Are they being graded yet or rated? Because people might want to know that they can increase their, if they have a high rating, then they can increase their enrollment just by their reputation.
They can, and some are rated highly and they're great. This issue lists of the 2 schools that are part of our community that are trying to also start an online school. Out of New Medina, they now have an online component. I think Dr. Lynn works with them on their science component. So you can go online and take your classes with New Medina and get a diploma. Does it start all the way through?
It's first grade through 12.
First grade through 12. And they do it online. You can, when they have these kinds of courses, you interact, you meet your teacher. Sometimes you can get a view into the classroom. Different schools have different programs. So you can bring the classroom into your home. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have a question about doing it online.
Mm-hmm.
When a parent or someone still have to be there to interact with the child and make sure the child is doing it well.
Usually, it depends on the age, the maturity, how well the child can work independently. The teacher depends on, different programs do their programs differently. So usually, the teacher is giving an assignment, things for the child to do. It might be a video for the child to watch along with activities. They give you textbooks. The textbooks are issued. Maybe Dr. Lynn's going to
New Medina's online program is pretty much self-sufficient. You don't need textbooks. The lessons are right there. The child has to be able to get on the computer. They need to be disciplined enough to be able to sit at the computer for X number of minutes, and that's up to the parent to identify what those minutes will be, because maybe the child's only doing the work as an enrichment or some type of remedial work or something along those lines, so they don't need it for their day-to-day day school experience because they're going to school during the day. Or maybe this is their entire program. So the parent decides, because if you're homeschooling, your state will identify how many hours a week you actually have to have that child engaged in work if this is their full-time program. So the parent then decides how many minutes they want them to work on this and what their schedule will be. But it's the parent's control. Now, one of the things that we've offered, and some schools are actually doing this across the United States, is you have, such as Sister Esther and Sister Camila and myself are working on here at the Mosque, that we actually have time where we pull the children together and we're working with them. So there's a way where you can pull your resources together and you can make it so that adults are present to help supervise them. But those adults don't have to be proficient in the content material because the online curriculum does that pretty much for you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll say this. I think most people know I'm a parent of homeschool children. I homeschooled my children. Once the Clara Mohammed School closed, my decision was I wanted my children to still be in an Islamic environment. I had worked too hard, a single parent, to have them to go to definitely not a public school and any other religious institution. So that's why I was asking that question. There are homeschool programs because if whatever you do with a child, there has to be an adult there with them. Yeah. So the homeschooling at that time, we were told that Sister Clara Mohammed School was going to reopen the next year. That's when Dr. Lee and them opened their school, and I was working with them, but we was going to the 8th grade. They was doing the 1st through the 8th grade with my son, and we had 6 other students that had graduated from the 8th grade. So my other children would have had a school, but my older son wouldn't. So I decided to teach him at home. And I used Harvard School. This school has been established since 1800s. And then they have a high school also where but they are nationally accredited. Your children would be able to go to any university. So there are different options, but my thing is, and I made the announcement, to have Sister Clara Mohammed School. There are all kind of things that we can do as a community, but the important thing is, and I don't want to take a whole long time, is, and I know most of you all know what happened with my daughter. And I said if didn't anything come out of me homeschooling my children was that she had the faith in Allah. Still doing it because she's still struggling with crazy stuff, that the devil is always busy. She is able, because I know when you raise in that environment and you raise that Allah is Akbar, and no matter what come your way. See, these are the kind of things that we have to know, that we have to instill in ourselves, that all these people, all these slaves came through and they had one thing. They prayed and they had faith. And this is what Allah tells us gonna get us to paradise, is to have faith in loving each other. So these kind of spiritual things that we have to instill, because my family, my whole entire family, most of them on my father's side are educators all the way long time ago. But to have a certain thing to do for yourself, those are things we have to instill in our children, because my children ask the same question when you ask, where are our grandchildren? We have to pass this great legacy, not as just Muslims, but as African American people, that we are precious diamonds. And this is what we have to understand, that when you precious gems, we don't understand the value of ourselves. And education, no matter, we think of education different things, because you said you want to get back on education. Those things that got us off track, that's part of education too. So I am, by children, I have grandchildren and stuff. The school would have been closed 30 years.
Next year. Shame on us.
Shame on us. As a community, Sister Clara Mohammed, Donnie Blythe Mohammed, and them didn't have formal education, but they had a faith. I was able to meet Emmett Till's mother, and for her to survive what happened to her son, she had a faith that was unspeakable. And I go back to say the homeschooling, if it didn't do anything, and my children, I think they read all the encyclopedias because it had a guideline, then it still had extra time, and all the subjects that they needed was right there, and they were able to go. My son, he's an artist, he went to Columbia. My daughter chose to go to Malcolm, then she was able to go to Roosevelt. Honor students. When you go through those programs, you can go, and I told them this. I said, they say you need different degrees to do different things. You get the degree, you don't have to get his knowledge. And so these are things we have to understand, that we live in a society that you need different degrees, but we still keep a certain knowledge. I'm thanking you. Sorry.
Assalamu alaikum. Somebody has a silver Sonic out parked in the front, you're blocking. A silver Sonic, you gotta move it now.
No, she was raising her hand for the mic.
Okay, I'll just watch it back. Parked out in front.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just so excited about all of this conversation. Okay, let's start here. First of all, we're all educators. If you're a mother, you are born an educator. If you're a female, you're an educator from birth. If you have children, you are an educator. So we have to start teaching our girls and our boys, but definitely the mothers who breastfeed and take that you are an educator by birth. That is your birthright. You are the first educator.
That's true.
Also, I like this all thinking outside of the box. A lot of people don't know I homeschooled my daughter for 3rd grade. I also homeschooled her for 7th grade. 3rd grade, I homeschooled her because my kids are 8 years apart. My son was involved in a lot of extracurricular activities with music, and I was traveling. And honestly, it was selfish that I kept her home for 3rd grade because I was tired of going to 2 schools. So I'm like, there's nothing there teaching a 3rd grader that I can't teach her. So I taught 3rd grade, and I didn't even follow a curriculum. I went to the teacher's store, I bought a bunch of 3rd grade stuff, and I just taught her. I knew she was brilliant beyond measure. She was already above the kids who she went to school with, no problem. I homeschooled her for 7th grade. Why? Because in 6th grade, she started acting like the kids she went to school with. I'm like, what in the world? I'm your mother. I'm your example. If you can be acting like them, you need to be home with me. So I kept her home for 7th grade. It was complete torture. And my friends thought I was crazy.